Hello, I'm Carolyn Bubert with the League of Women Voters of Portland. You're watching our video voters guide, or you might be listening to it on podcast. We're here today to interview candidates who are running in the general election on November 8th. And we're grateful for the support of several groups, including the Carol and Velma Sailing Foundation, the League of Women Voters of Portland Education Fund, the Weiss Foundation, and our media partner, Metro East Community Media. With me is Eddy Morales, who is running for Gresham City Council. Welcome, Mr. Morales.
Hi, Carolyn. Thanks for having me.
Please tell us a little about yourself and why you're running for this office.
Great. Well, Carolyn, thanks to you and to the League of Women Voters in Portland for putting this together. I'm actually running for re-election. I got elected in 2018 as a first-time candidate. And for the last 2 years, I've served as the president, having been elected by my peers on council to serve in this position. We've done a lot of great work in the last 4 years, some of it in the midst of a pandemic. And we really want to make sure that we continue to do and build on the foundation that we've set, including, increasing affordable housing, increasing our investments in parks and recreation and green spaces, our homeless services, and trying to make our community more safe. So.
Thank you. What are Gresham's most urgent needs and goals, and how would you address them?
All of these issues that I mentioned, are really important. Parks, recreation, community safety, housing, economic development. But sort of at the pin of it all is whether our city's finances can sustain and grow with the growth of our city. For the last several decades, our city's budget has remained stagnant, creating a constant and chronic underfunding of services, and therefore impacting the quality of what we can deliver to our residents. One of the biggest underpinnings of anything that we get done will ensure that we fix our city's finances to one that is more sustainable and will grow with the city as the city continues to grow.
Thank you. What efforts would you make to ensure the concerns of all Gresham residents, to ensure that the concerns of all Gresham City residents are being heard and are being addressed?
Yes, when I first got elected to the council 4 years ago, there was a small group of people who really had inroads with our city government. And in the last 4 years, I've done a lot to make sure that we're reaching to all different neighborhoods. Gresham is one of the most diverse places with over 40% of our population being communities of color. 1 in 5 people here are not born in the United States. And we have over 78 languages spoken here. And so in my time on council, I've really pushed us and encouraged us to approach work with equity, that we're producing things in different languages, and that we're actually going to the community as opposed to waiting for the community to come to us.
Thank you. People experiencing disabilities or mental health issues face barriers when accessing services of all types. If elected, what would you do to reduce these barriers in Gresham?
Yes, so we've started some of this work already in trying to do outreach to people who are differently abled. Actually, I'm really proud that one of the first projects that I was able to help support here in Gresham was the creation of over 100 affordable housing units that were ADA compliant, and specifically with working people with disabilities in mind. So anything from like the lighting, making sure that it's sensitive to people with PTSD, to the way that people could access utilities, and so those same units are also 100% powered by clean energy. So people who live there won't have a utility bill. And so I plan to do more efforts of that nature.
Thank you. What can Gresham do to address the root causes contributing to gun violence?
Yeah, Caroline, unfortunately, I am a victim of gun violence. I have lost 2 brothers to gun violence. When one of my brothers was 18 years old, he was playing at a park and was shot in the head. And my other brother, a couple of years ago, was robbed under gun and was murdered that way. One of the things we're doing right now to try to curb violence and crime and gun violence in general is to do early intervention, prevention, and outreach work. And so this last year, I'm really proud to have worked with Representative Ricky Reese and Senator Gorsuch to launch a first of its kind program to work with community partners, our public safety officials, and youth. And we hired 2 youth outreach directors to start doing that outreach and building relationship with community before we have to.
Thank you. How would you strengthen Gresham's working relationships with the county, the state, and other tax districts on multi-jurisdictional issues like affordable housing, transportation, policing, social services, and the economy?
Yeah, I would say that my track record on the city council speaks to this issue. For example, when I first got onto the council, our relationships between our city and other municipalities were strained, I would say, or maybe not existent. And so I am endorsed by our county commissioners, our metro councilors, our state representatives, state legislatures, our congressional Congressman Earl Blumenauer, both of our U.S. senators, and our governor and our attorney general. I think that demonstrates a broad support and willingness to work together and to continue to working together. When we passed the Metro housing bond, I got a phone call from our Metro Council that the city of Gresham was going to pass on almost $27 million of affordable housing because the idea was that we didn't need affordable housing in Gresham. I got that phone call, I took action, and we were one of the first places in the region to actually exceed our goals and provide that affordable housing with wraparound services. So I plan to continue to do that work.
Thank you. We've got one last question in only about 30 seconds. What steps, if any, should the council take to address the climate emergency and its impacts on city residents?
Yes, last year, Gresham was the hottest place on the planet with the hot heat dome, and we had over 100 people who died from that. I chair Urban Forestry Subcommittee. I'm the liaison for our council, and my goal is to really grow our tree canopy here, as well as to restore and protect green spaces. So,
thank you, Mr. Morales. You've been watching our video voters guide from the League of Women Voters of Portland, and the election is coming up on November 8th. Your vote really does matter. Thank you for listening.